Go.
Okay, yeah, welcome. So now we're having a talk of called the incomplete guide of performance images. By the way, I'm Lucas Wang. I work for IB, and let's say this incomplete guide of performance images because the image scheme is kind of too broad. Image is hard, right? Get the proper images, proper size, get the respond correctly during with the screen size, and get the compressed properly, and even in proper format. There's a lot of things, lots of tools available there, and it's basically it's hard. But on the other way, images is simple because it's not JavaScript. I know we web developers, we spend lots of time on trying to code splitting, tree shaking, and optimization and minification, all is trying to reduce the response time of the browser and make it more performance. Well, images, it's large, but in other sense, it's static assets. So means like you don't know how to do it, but once you know how to do it properly, and that's it. You can just set and forget. I think this part of often we all get the feed from designers or whatever they give me, I put it on the page because it's your asset. But those things don't think like that. Designers don't have the proper knowledge or skills to size and fit it properly, make it more performant. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, why performance matters? I think this is part of the theory I want to make. I have already done one. I think generally performance in Australia is not well respected because we think we have 4G, we can load everything pretty fast, and we have mobile apps. But performance is really a big feature. According to this data, Pinterest get increasing their search engine traffic and the sign up by 15%. By what? By realizing 40% of the perceived waiting times. Means 40% less wait, you get the 15% up sign ups. That's a real value for the performance. Might be not from BA, not from the product owner, because performance is actually a real feature. It's real beneficial to the customers. So this top two blue is positive scenarios. By reduce page load time by 850 milliseconds, almost 1 second, and you can decrease bounce rate by 7%. On the other side, some negative scenarios. The BBC found they have lost additional 10% users for every additional second of their load. And DoubleClick found 50% of mobile site visits was abandoned after 3 seconds. Means on mobile, if your site is more than 3 seconds, you're dead. Unless you multiply banks like us, they have to wait and they use because they want they want to do the payment. So this is generally performance matters facts. Up here, I'm going to promote a little bit of my first article. It's called Web App Performance Zone. Use Lighthouse CI integrate to performance to pull requests. If you guys are interested, I recommend to have a read on that. Lighthouse, by the way, is Google web page audit tool. So let's back to images. According to HTTP archive, 60% of the data transferred to fetch web page is images. Images is heavy. Every byte you load, almost 50% or more than 50% of the load is images. It's PNG, JPEG, GIFs, and it's 1.7 up to 3 meg on the big data. By the way, HTTP archive is data statistics site. is showing the average data, like a request, page size of all the website globally. This is supported by Google. So when we're talking about the things, the data, we don't just focus on our app. We should go out there and check the broader audience and see what's the average and what's the requirement. So why optimize image matter? Again, this is some facts. Like if you boost, if you reduce your images by 28, and you get 6% more visitors irritating the bidding process because the image is bigger, and like the A/B tests, there support size the main page on landing page, and the huge image. With a huge image, you got the 20% lower bounce rate and 30% increase in lead generation. So all the big image really matters. I think from time to time, we have big images using our app. Even not, still, most of the images, if you don't optimize, is kind of secretly increase the page load, which should decrease your performance. So when do you think you should start to interact with the web page? This is statistics like all the images load on 10%. 40% is like wait for most images to load. So you want to see which is which, and then you start to interact. 47 is percent of the audience is they are urgent. Like as soon as text appears, I can't wait. I want to click something. So how to respond when your page loads the first time and on the lower connection? That's a big issue. According to these statistics, like 87% of the audience probably required to be able to function when most image is loaded or as soon as text appears. How we achieve that? Because we cannot wait for all the big images to load. It's simply too long for the web app. So optimize images process in a nutshell. There's some steps to optimize the images. I want to ask, how do you optimize the image when you use the image? Like any ideas? How do you optimize the image?
Recompress it.
Recompress it? Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Some other steps. All right. Here I give you a full process of the optimized images. The first one is choosing the right format. We have modern format, which is SVG, JPEG, WebP. WebP is promoted by Chrome. It's mainly like Chrome supported. So we can use it, but I'm not recommend to use it as a general adopted standard because it's only supported by Chrome, and you have to do something, other things for other browsers. Size properly, adapt intelligently, compress carefully, prioritize critical images. I think this is just mainly for UX and designers. Developers, how to prioritize critical images is hard. It's normally not web dev decision. Lazy load the rest and taking care of the tools. There are 7 steps in total, because today is just short talk. We just focus on 2 parts. The first is choose the right format. Second is compress. Compress it carefully. I think within 1 hour we can, show some stuff to you guys, and you can remember some like output. That's good enough. Okay, choose the right image format. We particularly talking about the process here. right? If when you choose the image, there's a few critical steps you want to consider. First is like, does it need animation? If it need, you got to use GIF. But actually, GIF is pretty big. I think we can replace the GIF with web videos, short videos, which is a lot more smaller. But this is a different topic. And you can ask yourself, do we need to preserve file details with high resolution? If so, then we're going to move to PNG images. I think for most stuff, even for the carousel, this kind of gallery thing, we don't even need the PNG, because PNG is more kind of for professional, like arts, like paintings kind of thing. Often we end up with JPEG. With JPEG, we're going to experiment various quality settings to see what's the best inputs and the reward. Next, I'm going to focus more on JPEGs, because I think as developers are familiar with, JPEG is widely used on the page on the web, so we had better get it right. Actually, JPEGs, there's two types of JPEGs. One is sequential, one is progressive. I think sequential is the type we use often, and progressive, I think a lot of people has probably have seen it more or less before, but not really know what it is or how to make it. So I'm going to share with a few hints for that. Okay, let's start. Baseline image is loading, probably everyone already knows, and it's from short and top bottom and load gradually. You probably don't have no idea what it is until it's fully loaded, or most part loaded. Well, progressive image is different. It's loaded as a low resolution as a start, and then gradually repainted with a fine scan until you get the full image. So this is highly recommended, because you can get the details of the image, get the whole layout web very quickly, and so this is the image. Maybe I'm not interested in what is it. I know what it is, a human holding something, and know the text. And with that, you can start to interact or go somewhere else. But if you're really interested in the image, you can still wait until the fine screen starts, and then you can get all the details. That's the good thing of a progressive image. Also, according to the historical data, progressive image generally is the format save you 5 to 10% of the whole size. So you get like 5 to 10% for free, smaller, and then you get the big feature progressive. This is a chart of generally how it works, right? So this is pretty much repeat of the previous slide, because progressive image waiting time is very short, because you get the small images from the very start, and then gradually have a preview scan, good scan, and final scan. So it's kind of non-blocking and user-friendly. Maybe you still worry about who is using progressive JPEGs, because as a typical Australian business, we're not super confident. Always look at, what's happening in Silicon Valley, what's happening as American big giant. That's, I would say sad, but often this is the case. We have some successful role models which adapt progressive JPEGs. Twitter ships progressive JPEGs, and with a baseline quality of 85. Because 85 is the magic number from various confirmations, like if you compress with 85% and you lost not much, it can't be figured out by your eye, but you actually reduce the size. And Facebook shipped progressive images for their OS app, and it's 15% faster. Yep, switch to progressive JPEGs. It's actually 40%, save extra 40% using the most JPEG. This is another format of JPEG. It's just kind of compressing, a way of compressing. So we have big names focus on the progressive web images. I think we should start to at least do a POC and try to use it. Okay, interesting. Now it's a demo time. I'm gonna show you guys a small piece of progressive images and how they behave under the low traffic. Bear with me a second. So let's go to the sample app I've already created. See, this is actually. Do you want me to zoom in?
No.
A bit, or?
Well, yeah, if you can do a little.
Okay. No, not for the dev tools.
Okay.
I don't know.
Click the focus over to the. Wow.
I don't know what's happening. Let's do a refresh. I think Chrome kind of.
It's something to do with the scroll bar, I think. If you focus that, you might be able to stir it up. Okay, I'll stop this for a second.
Then this is a small app widget I've added using the material carousel. It's basically it's a gallery, has 3 images. If you online, if on the fast connection, reload it, and pretty much it's the same. You can't see much difference. But the real difference is when you on a slow 3G, which often we check on the website, and or for example, you even use the mobile hotspot. It happens a lot, and you do a refresh. Let's go to the network, and you can see. Just focus on because the bundle is still loading. But once the images come out, see, it's only got the because I zoom in too much, I kind of lost the size because I want to show the size. That come out.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, probably reload it because of the missing size. This is the main point because over zoom.
I'll reload.
Yeah, sorry for that. Just to reload once. You can see even with like the 36 KB, and it's already got the full like overview of this image, and it's still loading. If you check the size, it's still loading. So while we're watching, it's still trying to give you a final scan. The original size is like 240K, but it starts to show something really meaningful, even after 36 or around like 50 KB. So this will drastically improve the initial loading experience for large images, and it's basically just you can automate it, and it's nothing. It's a JPEG. So why the JPEG can't be progressive JPEG? Because
Everything's the same, and you have extra feature of its performance on the lower network connection. If you want to check how do I do it, and this is project. It's launched based on the Create React Bootstrap, but either the gallery or the code actually doesn't matter much. The key part is this part. Let me enter into presentation mode. This is this part because I'm using Webpack and using a new image meme plugin. What it do is like the test will like check all the images, and it has the threshold only apply this to the files over 10 KB. It has a reason because small icons and not much, you can't get much from progressive images, but actually sometimes even increase the size because it's different algorithm. So that makes sense. And then the plugin is just use the image meme modes JPEG, which is the compressed method, and it has the option like a progressive true. You add this, and all your images it will become progressive. As simple as that. So this is the typical scenario of set and forget. You just install it and put it there, and it always has a feature and do the service with. So I recommend this. Let's keep the demo. Okay, let's demo one. Let's do the next slide. After we check the progressive image, we might want to do something more kind of with more adventure. Now I have researched and try a bit of a new way of compressing JPEG images. You guys might think, okay, JPEG image is small, right? We use JPEG, we're not using PNG, we're good enough. But actually still lots more space to promote. This is the, to be honest, I can't even pronounce it properly. This is the special way, a mechanism of Google Europe researched for compressed JPEGs. It's called guetzli, maybe which is just called Goo, which is easy, right?
Guetzli.
Oh, yeah, well, it doesn't matter, but whatever it's called, it does the job. It's actually, it claims to be achieve at least 20 to 30% reduction in the already in the existing JPEG. So you use this and you get an extra 20 to 30% of with very minimum quality lost. This is a magic tool. We still same thing. We can add it into the build process and set and forget. Again, this is a demo. I'm going to demo you how this kind of this processor going to reduce the existing JPEGs using the gallery I've seen before. I've showed before. Yeah, back to demo again. One. First, I need to exit presentation mode. Go to project and go to my image folder and show you the magic. Let's review the Finder. So let's say this BG5 JPEG. It's 257K. If we use the Goo magic, let's change it to 5. So we have automatic plugged in on these two, but here I just want to show you how it works. You can brew install this guetzli, and then after you brew install it, you can use it. This command line is actually to set the quality is 84. It has kind of validation because it does not. You see the cool. Yeah, thanks. It allow you to set the quality lower than 84 because under that is a bit risky. So Google has set it as a minimum, but actually I checked it out and it's perfectly fine. And verbose means going to show something which is going to output, and bg5 jpeg is the original file, and then we have a bg5 underscore g, which is a new file. So if I press enter, instead of doing the job, this is doing some like fancy kind of analyzation. It will take a little bit time to process it. Meanwhile, we can go back to the intro page of this glue thing, because the principle is like it will perform the sequence of experiments that produce a proposal for the final image, right? Based on some like algorithm, like they will have a series of JPEG optimization, and then with the cycle visual error of each proposal as a kind of estimation like a standard, give it a score and choose the best candidate. Why it's taking so long? Actually, it's generating a lot of JPEG images using optimization, and then doing a comparison. And see, this is score blah blah blah. Actually, this is because it's verbose. You don't need to know, and Google just pick it. If you go back to Finder, you can see the new JPEG is actually only 135K from 200 almost 60K. This is almost 50% off. You got everything same, but 50% off. How good is that? Let's open this. This is the original one, and open that optimized one. I want to do comparison, kind of. Even
Can't tell.
you zoom at it quite large, and you still can't tell. It's almost the same. So it's magic. It's like you got a 50% off for nothing. And because this is image processing, once you process it, you can use it forever. You don't have to, relaunch every time like JavaScript. So this is totally free deal. Might not use it. That's the demo for this image compressing. Next is svgo. And svgo is another optimization, especially targets against SVG. Because we think SVG is good, it's vector based, and it's not like not CSS sprite, and it's already good enough. But once you check the documentation and you open it with text editor, it's still actually an XML markup. So with markup, apparently, at least you can compress, right? You can make it, reduce the space in it. For the browser, the same. On the other hand, it's still doing all this kind of this SGO, this NPM module. It's still trying to analyze all these kind of potential savings from your SVG document, and this is completely lossless. So everything you do, it will guarantee it looks the same, but save size. Normally, SVG, I know it's not much. Like we probably got 5K, 35K, but this is automated, right? Once you apply it, and if you can save some size, and it's what you do. The smaller increment, when they come together, become a big performance boost. So again, demo time. I'm gonna show you some SVGO's magic. Sorry. So this is the lovely tiger logo I put on top of the page. If you go to the source code, you can see the logo here. Actually, let me open in Finder. It's 5 KB. If you open with the text editor, you can see it's a whole bunch of. I don't want to open in the browser because I want like a text version. So it's got all this kind of PG or whatever. Probably you won't read it. It's just some like data to draw it. Let's see what SVGO can do. SVGO is the npm module. Basically, you just npm install a G, it will become available in your local computer. But you can there's a SVGO plugin as well. You can always do that. So the command after you install it, the command svgo logo and this original file, and you put a parameter up to the file. And that's it. So once you do that, see, the done in 58 milliseconds, and this is 50% down. I know size-wise it's a bit funny because it's only 2.6 KB lower, but it looks the same, and it has all this kind of optimization in it. If you apply all this to all of your like icons or logos, and still a fair bit of saving. If you open this, see, this is the new one. It's exactly the same. Can't tell the difference. Okay, that's SVGO part. Lovely, isn't it? The icon, we have done icon. Let's go to the real demo. No, we call it real. It's all real, but. This time I'm going to pick up some like, cause we work at the banks, I'm going to pick up some like images from production and see how it performs. Like this is netcut images, and in production. It's about 50 KB. Because all the images production, we have a special team, we just optimize it, and we use whatever the best tool can make it, and it's still 50K. Now, let's try what the guetzli can do on this. Go to services, open tab here. Let's do sorry, I need to tap the command. Can zoom out, but basically it's the same thing. It's just doing the then give a new name, because this is the original name. I give you a new name to do the comparison. Let's do that. Still take a short while. This image optimizations of the larger images you have and the more savings you have, because this is already 50K. See, it's finished already. And the new images is 45K. Right. This is I think our team has done the best to do all the optimization they can do, and to do it and then still have like 10% savings. So means I'm not really talking about only the ideal scenario. It's like if you apply to it, it will work. It will give you savings regardless, whatever format, existing compressed JPEG you have. Next, the last demo is like we have NAP logo. So this is a NAP logo. Actually, it has a NAP in it, and it's only 7K. Yeah, not much. But let's try svgo it. NAP out NAP logo. Oh. Right, NAP logo. That's the most important asset for NAP. It must be do the heavy kind of optimization in it. But still, we can save 30% on it with everything the same. Because let's open a new one. There's no difference because svgo is no difference. Svgo is is lossless compression. It's pretty much reduces the size and with no loss. Okay, let's probably the last part of the demo. With these three tools, let's wrap up. With these three tools, I think we can automate it and implement it in all pretty much. If you have JPEGs, then try it. If you have SVGs, try it. If you and if you want a JPEG smaller, and use the guetzli to shave off extra 50% of existing images. Of course, all of this has the Webpack plugin to automate it, and you can set and forget and enjoy your 30–40% of the image load reduce. Maybe just for half a day. So what you can do in half a day, you can expect more on this. Thanks for listening for this, and hopefully you guys can come back to your project and apply it. Make the web better. That's it. Thanks.